Perfect. All right. I think we have everyone. Um, all right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's demonstration webinar of the Lighthouse AI state licensing software. The Lighthouse AI is a software and service provider for organizations in the pharmaceutical supply chain, including manufacturers, wholesale distributors, 3PLs, and pharmacies. And while Lighthouse AI provides a full suite of state licensing services, today's webinar is focused specifically on our state licensing software. The Lighthouse AI platform continuously assesses your state licensing requirements for each facility, including initials, renewals, and changes. Then the software specifies the task to complete for each requirement and tracks the progress of each task. That's a quick 30-second explanation of the software, but we'll spend the next 30 minutes diving deeper and expanding on all that in greater detail. Before we get started, let me do a quick introduction of today's speakers. My name is Ryan Hall, and I'm the Director of Marketing for Lighthouse AI. Also on today's webinar is Tessa Farley. Tessa is on our state licensing software team as a training specialist and has been with us since 2025. She's a seasoned learning and development professional with 8 years of experience in the training, design, and facilitation department. And if you're unfamiliar with Lighthouse AI as a company, let me give you a brief introduction. Lighthouse AI was born out of Pharma Solutions, a consulting and services company started in 2015 by our CEO and founder, Sumeet Singh. And we have been engaged by over 700 clients across the pharmaceutical supply chain, including pharmaceutical and device manufacturers, wholesale distributors, 3PLs, and pharmacies. And Lighthouse AI is dedicated to improving state licensing compliance for our clients through our software and service offerings. Now, before we dive into the demo, I'm just going to clarify a few phrases that you'll hear us use today. First, we'll use the phrase state licensing to refer to facility licenses required by all agencies in all 50 states and additional jurisdictions. For example, state licenses such as California's non-resident wholesaler license or Arizona's non-resident manufacturer's license. Second, we'll use the phrase state licensing professionals to refer to those who manage state licensing for their company, meaning the person responsible to obtain, renew, and change your licenses for the company's facility. And third, we'll use the phrase state licensing requirements to refer to all requirement types, meaning all initial license requirements, renewal license requirements, and change requirements. By initial requirements, I mean the requirements to obtain a license for the first time. Renewal requirements is the requirements to renew a license. And for change requirements, I mean the agency requirements for when a reportable change occurs, such as a change of ownership, change of company name, a change of your officer, and so on. All right. With all those clarifications covered, let's take a look at what we'll be reviewing today. We built the Lighthouse AI state licensing software to solve the many problems that cause state licensing professionals to be non-compliant with state licensing requirements. And that's why the Lighthouse AI software can help you immediately reduce your financial risk of non-compliance by 99%. That's because the Lighthouse AI software enables you to discover overlooked requirements, reduce avoidable deficiencies, and eliminate lost and forgotten tasks. And today, we'll show you how the software delivers each of those three benefits. But before we show you the software, allow me to explain what I mean by financial risk. According to our market research, the typical facility with 75 million of annual revenue will lose 283,000 of that revenue each year over the next 5 years due to non-compliance with state licensing requirements. Why? Because a 50-state facility that is non-compliant with just 10% of each requirement type is non-compliant in 15 states. That's because non-compliance is cumulative, meaning that the facility is non-compliant in 30% of the states in which it conducts business. And by the way, that 30% of non-compliance is not an exaggeration. We audited 36 facilities who recently onboarded with us, and those 36 facilities have an average noncompliance rate of 33%. And the scope of the audit did not even include our change requirements, which means the real number is likely higher than 33%. And that number triangulates with additional market research we've conducted, all of which leads me to believe that the typical person attending our webinar may be non-compliant with 30% of their state licensing requirements. So let's touch on that. A facility that is 30% non-compliant across 50 states is non-compliant in 15 states. And if the facility faces adverse non-compliance in 20% of those 15 states, that means that the facility will temporarily lose revenue in 3 states over the next 5 years. And by adverse non-compliance, I mean the percent of non-compliance that is caught and forces a facility to temporarily stop doing business in a state. And by the way, Lighthouse AI projects that the amount of non-compliance caught will increase exponentially in the next 12 months. That's because of the ramp up of peer-to-peer licensing enforcement brought on by DSCSA. And because of that, we've seen a substantial increase in the number of companies asking to use our software to assess the licensing requirements of their trading partners and track those licenses over time. And all of that equates to $283,000 per year of lost revenue, assuming it takes an average of 3 months to correct noncompliance when it's caught. And that's what I mean by financial risk of noncompliance. That's why the Lighthouse AI state licensing software is the fastest growing state licensing solution in the market, because spending a little bit of money on software to protect a lot of revenue makes financial sense. So now let me hand it over to Tessa to explain how the software reduces the risk of noncompliance, starting with how the software helps you discover overlooked requirements.
Thanks, Ryan. When you first log into the software, you will be greeted by your interactive dashboard, which will provide you with a bird's eye view of all of your active, pending, and expired requirements. With the use of the global filters in the upper left corner, we are able to select the exact company and facility that we would like to view the requirements for. To access the facility assessment feature, hover over the navigational bar on the left, then click Intelligence and Assessment. The facility assessment feature instantly determines what licenses a facility must hold, so you never overlook a license requirement with any agency in any jurisdiction for any reason. The assessment workflow in the software starts with a facility questionnaire that requires you to tell the Lighthouse AI software exactly what's happening at the facility that you are assessing. Our questionnaire is complete and continuously updated to ensure our assessments always provide accurate results. A full team of Lighthouse AI researchers built this facility questionnaire by reviewing the over 700 state licenses that are divided across over 80 agencies across all jurisdictions. Specifically, they compiled a list of the facility attributes that determine which of these 700 licenses you must apply for. Users must confirm the presence or absence of 80 facility attributes that divide across the 5 categories we see on the screen. The first being your business model, followed by relevant product types, state-regulated products, federal regulated products, and the jurisdictions into which those products are sold, shipped, or simply end up if you're a manufacturer. Because our questionnaire is complete, you can compel all necessary stakeholders into the same meeting to confirm all facility attributes with 100% accuracy. I point that out because that's not the default process for many companies doing this work themselves. State licensing professionals say most companies capture roughly 12% of their facility attributes incorrectly. And the reason they incorrectly capture facility attributes is because they can't compel all necessary stakeholders into the same meeting to confirm all facility attributes with 100% certainty. They can't because they don't have a complete list of facility attributes that determine all state licensing requirements for all business models, product types, regulated products, and jurisdictions. Thankfully, the Lighthouse AI Facility Questionnaire solves that problem. As an aside, allow me to point out that all of our software subscriptions include a number of hours with that Lighthouse AI research team. Those experts will meet with you to confirm these details, parse out any nuances, and ensure that you input these attributes completely and correctly. Not only is our facility assessment questionnaire complete, it is also continuously updated. When agencies add new licenses that apply to new facility attributes, or they add new facility attributes to existing licenses, that same research team here at Lighthouse AI revises existing questions and or adds new questions to the questionnaire to capture the additional facility attributes. And that's how Lighthouse AI helps you to correctly and completely capture your facility attributes that determine all of your licensing requirements. So what next? Well, after we complete the questionnaire, the Discover module uses your answers to determine which licenses you must obtain based on your facility attributes, and it filters out everything that doesn't apply to your facility. That's what we're seeing on the screen now. Each item in this list on the left corresponds to one license a facility is required to hold. The software lists all the information you need to confirm you need the license here on the right side. This information is including, but not limited to, the jurisdiction, application name, definition, notes, and citation links. Because the software automatically completes the assessment for you, you no longer need to do the following. You don't need to determine which agencies in each jurisdiction have licensing requirements. You don't need to determine how each agency defines the business model for each of your facilities based on that facility's activities. You don't need to identify the licenses that apply to the business model for each facility in each jurisdiction in which you do business. And you don't need to assess the details for each license to determine whether a facility must acquire that license. The software automatically completes those 4 steps for you for every license, every agency, in every jurisdiction. And by automating those steps, Lighthouse AI eliminates all the mistakes commonly associated with completing those steps manually, mistakes that will cause you to overlook state licensing requirements. And because of that, all we need to do is simply accept, reject, or mark each license for further review. So not only does Lighthouse AI complete the facility assessment automatically, but the software also does this work continuously. Our research team and AI tools crawl agency websites, applications, state and federal legislation, state agency guidance documents, and agency FAQs. Our dedicated research team and technology immediately update the backend of the Lighthouse AI software to reflect the changes that they find. Then the software looks for matches between all of your facility attributes and any new licenses that may have popped up from the 80 plus agencies across the 51 jurisdictions. Those new license requirements appear here in your intelligence notifications. You can even choose to receive push email notifications so you never, ever miss a change. You should also know that we sell various software packages, meaning you can buy this surveillance capability all by itself or buy it as a combination with an assessment. Our subscriptions also include change assessments. These are assessments that determine the change requirements for all of your active licenses affected by a reportable change, like a change of ownership, address, officer, designated representative, and so on. And that's how Lighthouse AI helps you discover overlooked requirements. In addition, the Lighthouse AI software helps you reduce avoidable deficiencies. That's the second big benefit we want to show you today. So let's hop on over to the management module. On average, state licensing professionals say they make avoidable mistakes in at least 20% of their applications, resulting in avoidable deficiencies. And that's because application details are unclear, they're incomplete, and they're scattered across agency websites. Unlike agency websites, our software compiles application details that are clear and complete. All of that information is available here in the requirement details for every license you manage in the Lighthouse AI software. Here you'll find the application name, its definition, important notes, renewal term, citation links, fees, as well as any attachments or prerequisites if applicable. The Lighthouse AI software compiles all of these details into one place, so you know exactly what you need to do to submit the application, meaning exactly what to do to avoid those avoidable deficiencies. Not only does our software help you to reduce those avoidable deficiencies and discover overlooked requirements, our software helps you eliminate lost and forgotten tasks. The right task management solution is critical for your state licensing. State licensing professionals tell us they lose 5 to 10% of licensing tasks due to too many handoffs and the overwhelming volume of tasks. The management module in Lighthouse AI tracks your tasks for every activity, for every license. That's exactly what we're seeing on the right side of this window. This is important because state licensing professionals say the typical company does not renew 6% of their licenses on time on average. And a major reason is that state licensing professionals don't have or use an adequate task management system. The Lighthouse AI software shows you everything you need to do for that license, including what we call activities. By activities, we mean initials, renewals, and reportable changes. Notice we have 3 completed activities, one for obtaining the initial license, and 2 for those reportable changes. Then we have an incomplete activity, the renewal, that was started on November 1st. So not only does the software track activities, the software tracks all associated tasks as well. Simply click the activity to view or add tasks. The software tracks the completion of all tasks for all internal stakeholders for all licensing requirements. Additionally, the software will notify stakeholders of any new and expiring tasks with the option for email notifications. Let's return now to the management dashboard. The management dashboard tracks your progress in managing your state licensing. On the right side of the screen, the software summarizes your licensing status, any upcoming renewals, expired or expiring documents, and tasks. Our software enables you to supervise the completion of every state licensing task for all licenses for all of your facilities from a central single source of truth. Allow me to summarize what we've covered today. The Lighthouse AI state licensing software helps you discover overlooked requirements, reduce avoidable deficiencies, and eliminate lost and forgotten tasks. That's how the Lighthouse AI software enables you to reduce your risk of noncompliance by over 99%.
Now we've made it to the Q&A section of the webinar. This is your chance to ask specific questions about the software. If you haven't already, just use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window, and Tessa and I will take your questions now and answer whatever comes through. Tessa, are you ready to take some questions from the audience?
I sure am.
All right, perfect. Great. Okay, I'll take this first one here. Someone had asked, does the software cover all states? Yes. So to dive further into that, um, Lighthouse AI does cover all 50 states across the US, and we do cover additional jurisdictions like Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and I believe we're adding some additional US territories in the near future as well. So it covers the entirety of the domestic US. Um, Also, something I want to note is that not only does it cover all the current requirements in the assessment function, but it will also cover all future requirements. So if you are operating across all 50 states, or if you're just operating in a handful of, let's say, 20 states, our assessments and the continuous surveillance of regulatory monitoring will keep you up to date with all the latest regulation that comes through from California, from Texas. Anytime new licensing requirements or new responsibilities come through from the state boards, that will be updated in the software and you'll be notified by that. Perfect. Good question. Let's take a look at a second one here. What types of notifications does the Lighthouse AI software provide? I think Tessa touched on this a little bit, but great to re-review. The software contains what we call selective notifications. And these notifications provide insight into new legislation, new regulation, proposed rules, even fee increases across certain states. I think we just saw some fee increases in Texas recently for medical device manufacturers, medical device distributors. That is included in the types of notifications that go out. Um, what I don't know if we covered yet is that these notifications can be custom tailored to your business and to your activities. So if you are a wholesale distributor, you can update the settings so you only receive notifications about wholesale distribution and you don't see all the notifications about manufacturers, pharmacies, 3PLs, and all of that. And it can also be custom tailored for your product portfolio as well. So I don't know if we covered that earlier, but just wanted to clarify on that. And those notifications are delivered in both the software or can be set up as email settings as well to your inbox. Um, Perfect. Someone had asked, and I don't think we cover this. Um, do we cover international requirements? Really good question. We do not handle international requirements today in the assessment. So we can't identify international requirements if you're exporting. However, you can track international licenses in the software itself. If you already have a licensing list, let's say in an Excel document or a CSV, you can upload that license list for your international licenses into the software, and you can track them in there as well so that everything is in one convenient place and tracked in one single source of truth. So we hope to add international requirements in the future, but it's not there today. Really good question. Um, Tessa, I'm going to throw one your way if that's okay.
Yeah,
Um, Someone had asked, can the software track licenses for multiple sites? I think they mean multiple facilities. Would you mind
absolutely.
touching on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, the software does support multi-site license tracking. To streamline your onboarding, we even offer license upload and verification services. So just send us your facility information and the related license list, and we can load and validate everything so your team can begin working in the system immediately.
Perfect. Thank you, Tessa.
You're
And
welcome.
I think we have time for one last question. I'm going to put something on the screen now. If I didn't have a chance to get to your question, send us an email at hello@lighthouseai.com and we'll answer that for you. Some of these questions were submitted anonymously, so I don't know who had asked them. If you did submit a question with your actual contact information, I will get back to you. Um, but last question, does the state licensing software help with renewals and how? That's a really good question. The software does help with renewals. Again, it tracks all your licenses, all the deadlines, and renewal dates for all your licenses. So you do not have to look up the individual renewal dates for all your licenses across all the different state boards or try to keep track of that. That's all mentioned and tracked in the software directly. You may remember seeing the dashboard screen with the map of the US. That organizes the information for you. You can pull reports on all your renewals when they're due. And we also send reminder notifications about when your renewals are coming up, starting 90 days out, so you have plenty of time to prepare and get those applications in on time. So perfect. All right, everyone. We really appreciate your interest today. This is the end of the webinar. We've run out of time. Again, if you have additional questions, visit our website and fill out the contact form or email us at hello@lighthouseai.com. Thank you so much for your interest and have a great day.